Greetings, fellow humanoids. This week I'm learning, the podcast where the topics are lightly researched and the hosts are ever present in the metaverse. This is season 2, episode 43, recorded April 19th, 2021, and I'm your host, Brandon Vader, also known as Dracanis. Down below me, Psychonitrous, also known sometimes as Cody Stradman. Directly next to me, Mjolnir, always spelled wrong, so he gets it right, Charlie Stifler. And baby down in the corner is Colton Roper, also known as Seeker4761. Yeah.
Wow.
That is about this week so far.
Everybody puts baby in the corner.
Everybody puts baby in the corner. You know, sometimes it's okay to be in the corner.
It's safe in the corner.
Sometimes the corner is safe. Yep. It's comforting and nice. And it has a cat.
My real friend.
So yeah, should be a good episode. This episode, of course, I say that about every episode. And
you don't start. This
we've
might
never
be a
had
terrible
bad episode.
episode.
No. We've never had a bad episode.
Yeah.
I mean, forget like the first 10. If you
practice
take
run.
it, the first 10 were practice. First 15 were okay after that, and then what are we on, 43? So this is going to be our first
43.
good episode. Good job, guys.
The technecium
let me
episode.
disappoint you right now.
Oh, fuck.
We're radioactive.
Radioactive.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one with that song starting in my head.
It's a good song.
right.
Random shocking fact about that song. You ready? They recorded that song and released it 10 years before it even made the charts.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
What about the music video? Because the music video to that song is amazing.
Wasn't created until they hit big. Yeah.
I did not know that.
That means music is truly timeless.
Huh.
All right. Well, more for everyone to learn today. Cody is going to tell us about Move Over, Amazon. Singapore has you beat.
As long as it's not Jack Ma, I'm all right with it.
You're not grooving with the Alibaba group?
No. I'm all about Amazon America better than Alibaba. That's all
Well, it seems like the Chinese government kind of has you beating that. So,
fine.
Charlie versus China.
And
It's a fair fight.
Colton is going to tell us that soldiers of a feather flock together.
I hope that you selected my backup topic because I was really, really excited about it.
Unlikely. This has been around for a while. This is my topic that I've had in case of a bad week, and I'm ready for it. So
got it.
So it's a good show for a bad week for Colton.
Exactly. And Brandon's gonna tell us about cute little cars in China, unlike unwanted uglies in the U.S. and another new car thing. So I bet she's gonna tell us about cars in some way.
Yes.
So are we just skipping?
Yeah, we just screwed up the script real bad, but it's fine. Brandon, you can read mine, right?
I guess.
I
shit!
will absolutely read yours. It's all right.
All right, next week we'll have a good episode.
It's
First time in 43 episodes that's happened. So
It's fine.
it's good. So Charlie is going to tell us your chances of getting struck by lightning in your lifetime are 65 times greater, but you should still be careful.
Good job, Colton. That's a good read.
Greater. Yeah, absolutely still be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested. Okay.
Man.
Cody, start us off. Amazon is going to fall out of the sky because Singapore is going to, blow it out of the sky.
Just transform into a gigantic Jaeger, walk across the ocean, and then smash Amazon? Is that what's happening?
Alibaba.
Pluck Jeff Bezos up and go,
We all know Jeff Bezos has a evil death ray just trained on Alibaba.
All I'm saying, there are 190 billionaires on Earth, and not one of those assholes is put on a rubber suit and become a superhero. They're a bunch of slackers. I mean, seriously. We could have had 190 Batmans or 190 Iron Mans, but no. Everyone's got to sit in their yacht.
Which billionaire would you choose at this point? It's like, do you want Warren Buffett?
No, I would totally choose Elon. It would be Elon. It would have to be
absolutely.
Elon Musk. I would like Elon Musk, Bill Gates is like an odd couple. One stutters and the other one's trying to cure malaria.
I feel like Elon would like try it and then fail the first time and then blame somebody else that he failed.
He's a classic narcissist. I mean, he is the basis of the modern Tony Stark.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there.
Billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
So we're going to get a little bit robotic here.
Oh.
Ooh.
And so from the country that brought you Spot walking in the park to remind people of COVID distancing, we now have a new robot, which is Cameo? Like, again, so this interesting thing about the word Cameo, in Spanish, it basically means dealer. So it's a robot that I guess you could use as your dealer. That it's basically a home delivery robot with giant, I shouldn't say giant, but it's like, 4-wheel drive tires that are about this big and like ruggedized mud tires, because we all know that Singapore has a lot of off-roading. Singapore doesn't.
I was gonna say it's just a city. It's all paid.
But in fairness, their on-roading is an adventure.
Anyway, this device, they're now starting to use it in Singapore, and it can do a whopping 4 to 5 deliveries per day. So I don't think it's going to replace Grab or anything there. And it can do apparently on Saturdays it's going to take half of Saturday off and then all of Sunday off. So even robots have to rest.
Even robots observe the Sabbath.
Damn those fair labor laws. I want my robot slaves now.
So what's cool about this is after each delivery or each interaction with the interior of this, it has a UV light that basically zaps the entire inside of it. What I was trying to look for and could not find, it says that the interior is waterproof. It does not, however, say if the interior is refrigerated. And Singapore is just a wee bit away from the equator. And it's not cold there, I'll tell you what. So it does make me wonder, because they say, like, everything that I looked up, they're like, every article's like, now you can have your milk and eggs delivered. And it's like, well, unless it's either really fast, which it didn't look like it was, or it's refrigerated, your milk and eggs are going to be kind of gnarly by the time you get to them. It's got, so the way that it works is it's got this app, this companion app that works with it, and it will notify you. It'll be like, hey, the Camelo is, departing whatever location, and it's heading to you. Estimated time of arrival will be, like 10:43 or something. So then you go down and you interact with it after it gets there, and it has a QR code on it. So you scan it, the QR code, and then it goes, okay, this is you, opens it up, and allows you to take your stuff. One of the applications for it that they were touting is actually two-way delivery. So, like, if you have a gift, like, I'm like, hey, Brandon and I both live in Singapore. Hey, Brandon, you want some warm milk? Here you go. All right, let's send that there.
A little bit of cheese on that milk.
Yep.
Here, have some brie. I'm sure it will be fine on the ride over.
It might be refrigerated.
Is,
again, I couldn't find that information, though.
I mean, the door mechanism does not look that robust. Like, I could, give me a Halligan in about 3.5 minutes, and I'd get whatever's in there. So,
yeah, and this is kind of the thing to Singapore is one of those countries that is you don't really want to break the law there. Nobody really does. It's very, in some ways, I would argue dystopian, but in some ways, like utopian. It is kind of both in one. So you don't really break the law because you get, like, caning is still a thing there.
that's the thing about dystopias, though, that they're always utopias for someone.
Yeah, true. Exactly. Everybody's different. Can't have utopia without the dis.
Yeah. I mean, Big Brother loved it.
And regardless, if the items inside get stolen, I'm sure they're insured, and I'm sure they will.
Yeah,
I'm sure
I would
there's
not be
cameras
worried.
and stuff on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's cameras, there's LiDAR, sonar, basically everything with R on it. Maybe even a little pirate that drives it too.
Maybe a little.
I hope it has FLIRs. I hope it has FLIR.
So it can detect the heat of the individual. Like, oh, this person obviously needs some warm milk. They're looking a little cold today. In the 90-degree Singapore heat.
Yeah.
Chewy.
A great aspect that I look for in my milk. So, I mean, it's intriguing. I'll give it that. I kind of want to see where this goes. I feel bad for, displaced Grab drivers. But, if the pandemic lasts another few years, Singapore will be ahead of the game by having these automated interiorly cleaning robots that drive around and deliver you, maybe cold stuff, maybe not. Who knows?
Lukewarm. All right.
Yeah.
Nah, it's better
The
than
technology isn't going to be here for 100 years, guys. Everything's lukewarm.
Anyway.
I mean, it does look like it could be refrigerated, or at least
It does.
insulated.
Yeah. I wonder, and I can't imagine that this is like, that they've made this entire robotic system self-driving, and then they've decided, oh, well, because they specifically call out milk and eggs. Every single article I was looking at was like, milk and eggs. So,
yeah. So either it is able to handle it, or your shipper would just send it in an insulated box with some dry ice.
And Singapore is pretty small, so I mean, it could just deliver it fast enough where you don't really have to worry about it too. So,
Oh, yeah.
True.
Yeah. Anyway. I think it's time for Colton to tell us about feathery soldiers. Is this a new form of camouflage? Are they trying to take flight now?
Is it pigeons?
No.
Combat drones.
Well, I'm, like I said, kind of a shorter topic, but I figured in honor of the meme stock Dogecoin doing pretty well, that I think I would tell you guys a little bit about a little bit of meme history, if you will. So we're gonna talk wars here, so be aware. So all good wars have a name. You have the Spanish-American War, the Great War, War for Independence, so on and so forth. But what I'm about to tell you about, exactly. But what I'm about to tell you about is another one that actually occurred after World War I. It was fought in the land down under from November 2nd, 1932 to December 10th, 1932. It was a bloody conflict between two of the most dangerous combatants in the world. Oh, does Charlie know what we're talking about?
I hope I don't.
I think you do. The brave humans of the Australian military and the dastardly, the deadly, war-mongering giant emus of Western Australia.
God damn it.
Yes, my friends, I am going to tell you about the Great Emu War. This is a real thing. It's
Yeah.
a meme, but it is a real thing.
It is a thing. I lived in Townsville, Queensland, Australia. And,
It is
my
a fucking
God.
thing. So, at least sounds like one of you has heard of this, or again, it is a meme as well. So apparently, in 1929, there was this thing called the Great Depression, and it affected Australian farmers pretty hard, whatever that thing was. The government had actually promised subsidies to farmers as a result of the Great Depression, but actually reneged on that promise. And then the emus came. So it was a rough about 3 or 4 years for farmers in Australia. Wheat prices were down, but the government was insisting that people, soldiers as well, like grow more wheat. But with the promise of subsidies, it didn't happen. So they're already in kind of a bad mood. So emus in Australia actually migrate, and they migrate by the tens of thousands across the continent. And apparently they're actually a horrible pest. They love crops and will just destroy entire fields of, well, wheat in this particular case. So the farmers and the government enlisted the help of Major G.P.W. Meredith, 2 soldiers, 2 Lewis machine guns, and over 10,000 rounds of ammunition. Ambushes, yeah, this is serious. It's a legitimate military campaign in Australian history.
Things I wish I could have forgotten about.
Ambushes were set up, and they waited. The emus came, but outsmarted the army and the local townspeople that enlisted help. They scattered, and only a few dozen emus were killed in the first encounter. The next attack happened a couple of days later. The machine guns fired upon the flock, but within 10 seconds, the guns jammed, and only 10 emus were killed. But never undaunted, Major Meredith continued to track. He constructed elaborate plans, and when implementing said plans, they failed spectacularly. And after about a month of this, the Australian government ordered an official end to the campaign. Final totals, anywhere from 50 to 1,000 emus dead, and no human casualties. And apparently this isn't the first...
50 to 1,000.
1,000.
Yes.
Yeah, because even back then, it actually made international news, and a lot of people were, especially in the West, were against it because the cute little emus are...
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, they're a
Jesus.
pest, but they're still interesting.
They're
I don't
mean.
know. They're
They're
incredibly
real
mean. Obviously,
mean.
they had war with the Australian government, and they won. Technically, I would argue they won, because even if it's 1,000 dead, if there's tens or thousands of emus, and again, crops were still destroyed, their migration patterns weren't really affected in any way.
Oh my God.
I would say they won. If their objective was to survive, they weren't eliminated. So apparently, the Australian government actually kept this up. Like, they kept other official wars with emus over, like, the 30s and 40s with similar results. So let the lesson be learned, and I'm stealing this from my source, don't fuck with emus. Yeah, I've seen that meme so many times about the Great Emu War. I kind of figured it was real, but after lightly researching it, it's a damn near the funniest thing I've ever read in my entire life in terms of history. It's fucking hilarious.
Okay.
I need to find someone who has made like an hour-long serious documentary about this, because that would be...
It's a 45-minute documentary, and you can find
Like
it on YouTube right
I think
now.
it'd be funnier if they do like a Band of Brothers style
Bookmarking.
documentary, and
Oh my God.
So
they have like slow motion Saving Private Ryan kind of things, of like.
I have to share something with you. Do you guys know what the cane grub is?
The cane
The what?
drug?
The cane grub.
No.
Like golf uniform grub?
Like
Yeah,
a
grub.
little
Like as
insect?
in the insect, yes.
and I'm
It
guessing
is
something to do with
an-
sugarcane.
It is an invasive species from the islands of the South Pacific that made its landfall in Queensland, Northeast Australia in the 30s/40s. And, you know, as you can tell by the Australian government's prowess in dealing with invasive species, they searched far and wide for the predator of the cane grub. and they found the cane toad, and they introduced the cane toad into northern Australia in order to combat the cane grub. The problem being, the cane toad is venomous. It has poison sacs behind its eyes. It has no natural predators in Australia, and it does not, in fact, eat the cane grub. So, there are several billion of these fuckers in Queensland, and you collect them by the garbage bag full. And my first dog died because of a fucking cane toad.
Go Team Humanity, apparently. Jesus.
Yeah, the whole hypno-toad, licking toads thing, that's this toad. You trip balls or you die. It's kind of like...
It's just
they don't have a widespread abuse problem because they kind of remove themselves from the breeding population, if you know what I mean. Darwin Award winners. Australia and agriculture and in interacting with one's environment, they are top of the list in the world. Absolutely.
Well, it's
highly
for being a
recommend.
prison colony. What do you expect?
Yeah, I mean dingoes, cane grubs,
spiders,
cane toads,
snakes,
everything's trying to kill you,
most
and let's
venomous
bring
octopus.
things that actually kill you too.
Yeah, like what is it? Like 90% of the population lives like on the coast of Australia, and then you just have this giant freaking desert in the middle with. It's a weird continent. I'd like to visit it someday. Just also those. What is it? The what's that freaking tree? It has a cute name, like the. I'll have to look it up. But it's a tree that apparently, if you touch the leaves or get the sap on you, it feels like being shot, electrocuted, and burned at the same time. And fuck, I have to look it up.
God damn it! I know what you're talking about too, and I can't remember either.
And isn't the leading cause of death with that plant is actually suicide?
It's suicide because they can't stop the pain, and it lasts for months, and there's no way to mitigate it. Yeah, Australia's great. It's terrifying, god awful. Yeah, I think there's one story of a person like happened to be under it, and a bit of sap fell on their shoulder, and they basically had to get it cut off because the pain was so bad that they couldn't move, they couldn't do anything. Pretty fucked up, but also pretty interesting. Nature is cool. Nature will win. I'll look.
I remember it being called the stinging nettle, but I think it's not tribble. I think it's like triphid or something like that.
We will look it up and put it.
Yeah, we'll put it. We'll link it right here. It's
lightly researched, guys.
Yeah,
what do you expect?
It's a doozy.
A doozy. But sounds like Charlie. Since I'm actually going to talk about the right person this time.
Yeah.
Tell us about apparently something that we should be careful about.
Okay, so does anyone know the odds of getting struck by lightning in your lifetime?
Better than winning the lottery?
One in like 200 million? Something stupid like that?
Oh, wait. Remove a couple decimal points. 1 in 15,300.
Okay.
Okay?
I guess that depends on where you live, too.
Yep, it does. That specific piece of data was from Europe. So, European numbers or whatever they are. And, I would estimate that they're not direct strikes, but, whatever.
I mean, it could be
15,000.
Could be talking about lightning in Australia, which will strike, open your door, and then take you out of your bed, and then hit you.
But only the hill folk.
Only
the hill folk. Okay. So, anybody want to guess what a 65 times less likely to develop or be caused by something, I don't know, in the news or headlines right now?
1 in 600 something?
65 times.
Is it the vaccine?
It is. It is VITS, or vaccine-induced thrombotic thrombocytopenia, which is just, it
rolls off the lips. It truly does, yes.
Yeah, it really does. So, vaccine-induced, so vaccine-caused, thrombotic, which means it causes blood clots, thrombocytopenia, which is the lack of blood clotting. So it sounds like an oxymoron, but what in actuality is happening is you have hundreds, if not thousands, of little microclots that basically absorb all of your platelets, and then you can't clot anymore. So what is happening right now, and the reason why that there is this gigantic pause on the Johnson & Johnson vaccine for COVID-19, and use with caution for AstraZeneca in Europe and the UK, is because 222, last count that I have, in Europe, and 7 in the United States have developed some sort of VITS. So what VITS is a derivative of heparin-induced thrombocytopenia. So heparin is a blood thinner, and something that happens when you give someone heparin is they can have an antibody reaction. So it specifically addresses the PF4 or platelet factor 4, which is the clotting cascade equivalent of thrombin. Okay, it's factor 4. It's one of the most common anemias in the United States. If someone's factor 4 deficient, or factor 12 deficient, or factor 8 deficient, then they're mildly hemophiliac. So they don't clot as easily as the rest of us. What is very interesting about the 222 and the 7 is that it appears, because Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca are both viral vector vaccines, which means they use, one uses a chimpanzee adenovirus, and the other one uses a human adenovirus, that both have either been rendered or are naturally unable to spread in the human population, to bring in the DNA for the spike protein in order for the body to reproduce it, recognize it, attack it, and then prepare to fight it again, which is, that whole talk I did several dozen episodes ago. Anyways, so what's happening is, theoretically, is that the human adenovirus is causing a parallel immune response. And normally this wouldn't happen in these numbers, because the immune system wouldn't be ramped up enough to create enough antibodies to cause this systemic thrombocytopenia. But because we're introducing the RNA or DNA for the spike protein, we are ramping the immune system up. Those people are having the flu-like symptoms the next day or a couple days after the second shot. It's ramping your immune system up, so it is creating more of these antibodies for PF4. So, in theory, it is significant for the PF4 related VITs. Where the numbers don't make sense, to stop giving it and do a pause, which I'm all for safety, and I'm firmly believing that they are doing the right thing. And in fact, they're not. I guarantee the people that are taking this as a red flag are not seeing the silver lining in this, which is, yeah, we're paying really close attention to any safety considerations. But they're going to be like, oh, you guys rushed it. No. So, 7 out of 7 million doses of Johnson & Johnson given in the United States, of which several thousand I myself have injected in people's arms, have caused viral or vaccine-induced thrombotic thrombocytopenia, and 1 person has died. So 1 in 7 million has died. Your chances of dying from COVID, just random population, this is not everyone that's infected with COVID, is 1 or 23 in a million. So pretty high. If you're 55 years old, it is 800 in a million that you will die from coronavirus this year. compare it to dying of an accident or an injury at 110 million for 25 years old and 180 in a million for 55. Dying in a car accident, 38 in a million. At 55 is 23 in a million. So coronavirus is still much more deadly in that 55-year-old population than anything else that we're looking at. And the chances of being hit by lightning this year is 1 in a million. So, yeah, serious harm due to vaccine side effects is 11 in a million this year.
Isn't
4 in a million if you're 55 years old.
And I'm not really familiar with the AstraZeneca one, but with the Johnson & Johnson one, isn't all 7 of those cases women over 50?
Yes, actually, the AstraZeneca also has the same warning population, which is 20 to 45 female. Now, they have not... I'm waiting. I'm hoping the empirical data is going to come in. I have been doing... By the way, if our viewing audience doesn't know, google.com/scholar will search purely peer-reviewed documentation. And that is the way you do Google research to not get opinions, to get actual data.
But
Facebook. And my Aunt Edith. And what's her butt? Jenny McCarthy.
Betty Crocker.
Yeah. Anyways, 222, predominantly female, 20s to 45. I am curious to know if they're on oral contraceptives, if they smoke, if they drink, if they're diabetic, if they have a history of unknown anemia that
I was
may
trying to
or
remember.
may not have been diagnosed.
Yeah, for some reason that was kind of in my head that there had been issues before with women on certain types of contraceptives and medication. Yep. I remember that.
Well, isn't that why, like, when they were developing the vaccine, they had, what was that, in, like, the summer? Didn't something happen that was similar? And they pushed it off a little bit in terms of...
It wasn't AstraZeneca. It was another one of the...
was it Moderna?
No,
it wasn't
one that
didn't actually make it.
It was one that did, like, literally called
That's right.
off phase 3. And it was not... it wasn't thrombus related. It wasn't clotting related. It was something else. I think it was either Legionnaires or... I don't think it was ALS.
I think it was Legionnaires.
Yeah, I think it was Legionnaires. But
Sounds
it
right.
was 6 people out of 45,000. Which, yes, it is above your control group for Legionnaires out of the population. But... maybe,
Well, yeah. Like,
yeah.
So what I'm curious about, and I haven't looked this up, and of course the news hasn't done any comparison. Of course not. How does the affected rate compare to like a regular vaccine, or when I say regular, like a commonly
like the flu vaccine,
or measles or any of those? Like, what are the what are the possibilities of getting a severe side effect to
so the most common severe side effect that I am familiar with in other vaccines is what's called dystonia, or a dystonic reaction. Very, very rarely are they a permanent condition, but they normally look like a stroke or Bell's palsy, and they're almost always fixed with Benadryl. So if the patient presents with getting a vaccine or a change in specifically a psychiatric medication in the last 24 to 72 hours, my diagnostic medication of choice is Benadryl. I will give them Benadryl, and if they get better, then it was a dystonic reaction. The numbers of lethal reactions to vaccines are infinitesimally low. The vaccines that we currently have outside of the COVID-19 world, like the MMR or Tdap, they're extremely safe, but they still have a rate in the 1 in a million to 10 in a million for severe side effects, not limited to hospitalization. I don't know the death rate, but yeah, that's more ammunition for your anti-vaxxers out there. But like I said, your chances of getting killed in a car accident are 110 in a million versus 10 in a million. So unless you're going to outlaw cars...
So it sounds like even like the numbers that are coming, and granted, I think
Right.
they're looking for more data with everything too. But it sounds like the possibility of side effects rate isn't anything like spectacularly high or low. It seems
So
where it should be.
if you compare the AstraZeneca 222 to the, I don't have the exact figure, but I know the ratio. Your chances of developing VITS is 0.00006%.
Yeah, so it's
That's pretty
basically
fucking safe.
zero. It's
Now,
basically zero.
where you have to draw the line is where, in what population do severe COVID leading to ventilator dependence and then death, what population does that affect? And that's typically your over 45, your 50s, your 60s, your 70s, your 80s. And the side effects in those groups are very, very much lower. They have not had a VITS case over, I believe, 49 years old. So if you continue the pluralistic of getting the shot in front of you is the best shot for you mentality, you're reasonably safe. But if you want to play it super safe and you're a female of an unknown anemia history, and you're in the 20s to 45s, pass on Johnson & Johnson. That would be my opinion. If you want to play it super safe and not play the 1 in 7 million game, which is fine. I respect that.
Get one of the mRNA ones when they come out.
Get one of the mRNA vaccines and save the Johnson & Johnson shot for someone that is more high risk. So a homeless person in their 60s or 70s, someone in healthcare that's not a female in their 40s, etc. There's multiple vaccine options, and if we want to play that game, we can. Here's where it gets really dangerous, though. The Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca both have something very, very important in common. They are incredibly cheap to make, and they are regular fridge safe. So that means the third world, that's how you vaccinate the third world, because they do not have the infrastructure for the deep freeze. So you're not going to get Moderna, you're not going to get Pfizer to the sub-Saharan Africa. You're just not.
Yeah, Moderna wasn't. It was, if I remember correctly, that's just freezer. That's not the Pfizer was the really cold one when it first came out.
Pfizer's the really cold one. Moderna has to be kept at, I want to say, -20 Celsius.
Okay, so that's still
it's still really cold.
That's
on the
colder
edge of
than
what
your
it has a week that it can be just frozen.
Okay.
Before it's no longer good. Now, you can get a vaccine pretty far in country in a week. Freezer.
If you look at Wendover, we'll have some good videos for that type of thing.
Oh yeah.
Just look at any of his logistics videos, and you'll be able to see how you can get anything around the world in 24 hours, with some very interesting exceptions, like certain islands in the Pacific, or Reunion.
Islands that you're not allowed to visit because the Indian government is sick and tired of trying to tell your family that, no, we can't bury you.
Yeah.
Not that we've talked about that or anything.
I was like 25 episodes ago.
Yep.
Son of a bitch.
If that. But, ultimately, the important thing, the pearl to walk away from this is that we are paying attention and that we are willing to put the brakes on the global response because of a very finite problem. So we're not going to let a big problem get away. It's just not going to happen. And as we figure out the empirical data on the who and the why, we can screen those people for the predisposition and specifically target them for, hey, if you have any of the following symptoms, painful stomach, loss of vision, they're specifically having problems with clots in the small cerebral veins. That's where the clots are happening. That is causing the lethality of the VITS. So if you're watching for that, you can address that very easily. And in modern medicine, in the first world, it's really not a problem, especially once we identify we need to be watching this segment of the population for this syndrome. It's going to be on every ER post-it board in the country. Where we have to really be careful is the third world, where that first world medicine is just not available. And if it doesn't affect the African American population, if it doesn't affect the Latino population, but if it affects the Asian population, that would be real bad. Like India needs help right now, real bad. And I'm hopeful that once we hit herd immunity in the United States, that we're not going to turn down the dial on financial assistance for the vaccine. We're just going to start peddling it out. And
That is the right
as
thing
far
to
as
do.
as far as the foreign policy side of things, I hope it's the goodwill that will prevent World War III in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Playing the big game.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see what's going on because I'm following vaccine development in, or vaccine rollout in Thailand as well. And well, it's far from a third world country, or it's still interesting to like talk to some of my Thai friends and it's like, oh hey, I hear you've got vaccines, and then get the response from them of like, what are you getting? Are you interested in getting the vaccine? And I hear no a lot, and the reasons why I heard no are because when you look at it, the two options that they have right now are Sinovac and AstraZeneca, which AstraZeneca has been getting a lot of negative press lately because of,
for 222 people out of I don't know how many tens of millions of doses.
Yeah, so
what's interesting is Thailand is controlling the spread though, so it's not like a high priority compared to other.
As of this, it was actually been about a week now. As of this last week, there have been some outbreaks. So, we'll see what happens. The UK variant has just made landfall there. Either way, what I'm kind of hoping is that they're able to get, other ones once the US becomes fully vaccinated too, or, whenever we have extra that we're able to send it there as well.
I will be very curious to see the data from them specifically on the deadliness of a UK variant, because the US data says it is not more deadly than the baseline.
That's what I've heard as well.
Seems like the Brazilian one's kind of the
Brazilian or South
lethality.
African.
I think it's more contagious is the argument I've seen. But I don't know.
Brazil scares me. Brazil scares me a lot.
It's all a mess.
Thailand seems to be more afraid of the South African one than the Brazilian one.
Kind of makes
and rightfully
sense.
so, but thankfully specifically the 3 vaccines in the United States are effective against it. It's just how effective is the question.
Yeah.
How quickly can it be? Yeah. How quickly can we still be effective until
the three available in the United States? There's still a fully vaccinated patient has still not died of COVID. So there's that. And if that is the only thing you take away from it, it's a win.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's gonna be an interesting couple of years for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Brandon.
Couple of years. Tell us about cute cars.
Cute cars in China, unlike unwanted uglies in U.S. and new car thing.
Oh, I just got the alliteration.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
as
funny.
soon as I was
So
like cute
clever.
cars in China, it's like, oh god, I gotta do something. So, well, here in the United States, GM has killed the Volt, which is an amazing car, SUV'd up the Bolt, and dropped an unwanted electric remake of the terrible civilian Hummer. In China, they've released a 2-seater, cute little convertible that is only going to cost $4,400. And let me...
Is it the size of a smart car?
Yes.
Ugh.
I like the smart cars. Like if it was just by myself.
Brandon, you can't fit in a smart car.
I know I can't fit in one.
You guys remember a couple years ago when the smart cars were all getting tipped over? I drove up on one in an ambulance and like, oh, is that a rollover accident? No, some college student just tipped the fucker over.
Yeah,
Which means it can be easily tipped back. What's the problem?
okay.
Damage.
Have any of you actually driven a smart car?
No.
Yes,
man.
unfortunately.
I've ridden in one.
Why do you say unfortunately?
It was incredibly cramped, and I felt like I could die at any moment. If I was in a car accident in a smart car, the decision would be to drain me out like the oil pan or just bury me in the car.
Okay. I will give you that safety-wise, especially on a highway.
Oh.
Mm.
I wouldn't even think about taking it on the highway.
So I'm 6'6". I fit better in a smart car than I do in some Honda Civics.
Yeah.
So when I used to work for the airline industry, when I would fly out to Denver for training, there used to be a company called Smart2Go or something like that.
Car2Go.
And Car2Go. And you could tap your NFC phone to the windshield and pay per minute to rent that car. And as long as you parked it in the service area, you could stop the clock, go in, run your errands, and then usually only have to walk a block or two to get another smart car.
If your car wasn't still there, you could go get another one. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like the scooter
Or
system
if
here
you
in
were
Tucson.
or if you were only running in somewhere for a few minutes, or if you just wanted to pay for the whole hour because you wanted to know that you had a car, or you wanted to go outside of that service area, it was fantastic. It let me come and see you guys.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I ever visited you specifically with one of those. I think.
No, I came to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did not have you drive to me in a smart car. No.
Yep. But I have a picture of me on Facebook pulling up in to see Dennis and Jenny and those guys.
Some friends of the
smart car.
podcast.
Yeah. And
Friends
it
of
was
the
a lot of
pod.
fun. It was a great, city streets. That thing was awesome. I looked for a few years at getting one just to commute around Gunnison in. Because honestly, it's the size of a golf cart. It feels like driving a golf cart, just a golf cart that can do, 70.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds actually pretty fun.
For-
Usually littler
inner
things
city
that
driving?
are faster. Yeah.
I think they're great.
Now, granted, getting overtaken by a semi on the freeway, yeah, puts the fear in you pretty good. But
I hope their seats are stain resistant.
I mean,
Bring
they're
me
dark
my
enough.
brown pants.
But
Precisely.
something like this little car behind me in a city or in a small commute location would be pretty fantastic. And $4,400. This would be the perfect, okay, you're going to go to Colorado Springs and go to college. Fantastic. You need a vehicle to get around, to get groceries, to go meet up with friends. Great.
And the football team can carry it home for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, you
See
ran
the
out
negatives.
you ran out of charge, put it in neutral, and push it to the next stop.
Just
All
put it on
of
your
us,
back.
all of us,
and
at
just keep
different
going.
points in our lives, have been bullied. If you went to college in that thing,
I don't
they
think
would put
college
it on the
students would
roof.
care.
They would put it on the roof of the college building. They would put
But
it on the roof.
If it
They'd
became,
find a way.
If it became culturally accepted, no one would do that. That's
Yeah, I knew some guy
And-
that didn't pay his bar tab and got his Volkswagen Bug put on the roof of the bar. So I mean,
Yep.
that's pretty funny.
And I mean, okay, yeah, if you were a guy driving that current atmosphere, whatever, yeah, somebody would probably fuck with you. But a girl driving that? Nobody would fuck with it. They'd be like, oh my God, that's such a cute little car. It's different cultures, but I'm
right
just
now,
saying.
April 19th, 2021, that chivalry is not dead, ladies. Brandon does think that they would not be fucked with. I unfortunately
think
live
they
in the real
would.
world,
I
and
don't
I
think
do
they would.
believe
Not
they would be targeted.
on a college
Okay,
campus.
nah.
I don't think so.
Here's the
or other
takeaway from
societies.
this, though.
Look at
Go
it
ahead,
not
Brandon.
in the U.S. And
It's
it's an
not-
excellent idea.
Yeah. My takeaway from this is what GM can do for less than $5,000. They can give you a car that has navigation, that has all the bells and whistles.
Wait, so
has-
this is GM in China?
This is GM in China.
Wow, I am surprised. And I thought it was a Chinese company.
So it is a 50-50 venture between a Chinese company and GM.
So in other words, it's a Chinese company. They're the only ones going to make money.
From what
on
I'm
this.
seeing, it's GM battery tech, GM
That
interior.
is now
like,
Chinese state government property.
well,
They also could have just bought
But-
a car at any time and got the same property. So,
yeah.
whatever.
But I mean,
That's interesting.
you have a fully functioning car. So let me get back to my actual notes. This is called the Wuling Hugong Mini EV, and I probably terribly pronounced those first two words. Sorry.
Right off the tongue again.
Yeah. I mean, Wulong Hugong, that's probably the manufacturer. Mini EV is the model name. And then this is the Mini EV Cabriolet. The Mini EV is a 4-seater. The Cabriolet is a slightly shortened 2-seater. The Mini EV, like the fixed roof version, has been selling since the summer, and it is the hottest selling electric vehicle in China. They're expected to have similar
so that
stats.
probably, equates to hottest in the world, actually, just because of population.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah, so that says
Yeah.
something.
So the base model has a 9.3 kilowatt hour unit battery with a 75 mile range. The upgraded version has a 13.9 kilowatt hour battery with a 106 mile range. The top speed is about 62. So again, this wouldn't be something
Miles
you'd take
per
on
hour,
the highway.
not kilometers
Yes.
per hour.
62 miles an hour.
It looks better than a smart car.
Yeah, it does.
It does. It absolutely does.
I mean, it's not
But
going
I
to win
mean,
any
it's-
sexy contests, but it's
It's cute. It is.
I
cute.
mean,
I was
the-
promised
the-
cute, and it is cute.
Yeah. There's this whole thing in China right now called the Kei car or K car, KEI car, and it's all like these small cute cars. Like that's the thing over there.
Yeah, in Asia,
And it just-
cute rules. Like that's the thing. If it's cutesy, it's super popular. They
Yeah.
never had
Well,
that, clause that
interesting
said that
compared-
you can't be a kid when you turn into an adult. That we had.
Yep.
what's interesting between like this and the traditional smart car that you think of is like it looks like you can actually store stuff in it. Like it doesn't look like an individual pod vehicle. It actually looks like
Yeah.
a very
There's-
miniature.
It's like halfway between Power Wheels and semi truck.
Somewhere.
I
in there.
mean, again, it's just the whole thing of why don't we have a $10,000 base EV that will do 65, 70, but is designed for city commuting? Like,
So
where
there's a
is
lot of
that?
risk. It's a risky
Because we have
proposition.
a super safe 300-mile range, 0 to 60 in 2.9,
that
$35,000 car.
Yeah, but that's 10
Yeah,
times
but-
what most people can't afford that.
I think the real
Yep.
issue here with the electric vehicles is infrastructure.
I was going to
It-
say
it-
the
Like
difference between an American city, especially a Western American city,
Mm-hmm.
versus a city, well, that's older than the car age. It makes sense for a European city, especially, or a Chinese city, or Bangkok, or any of those cities. They're so. I mean, frick, some of the alleyways are so small that you can't drive a full size vehicle through. They're also
Yeah.
congested, so there's a lot of people around. It makes sense in that sense. Like Boston or New York, I could argue would make sense too, because
Well-
you're not going to go over 40 miles an hour.
And also, what I'm talking about more so than size is really the charging capability, and that you don't have, and it's the same problem that we have with bandwidth here in the U.S. with internet infrastructure. is that the U.S. geographically is huge. We are the third largest country in, well, actually, technically in both metrics, in population and in landmass. So to cover all of that is very difficult. I can tell you where I live presently, there is a charging station. Strangely enough, we have the first charging station in the state here in Soldotna. But if I want to drive to Anchorage and back, I'm screwed. Unless I get a hotel.
That's not what this particular car is designed. It goes back to the infrastructure of how a city is built. There's a reason we need EVs that can do 300 miles on a charge versus a city where theoretically you're 10 blocks away from your job. I mean, my job's 10 minutes away. A little car like that,
but a lot of people in the U.S. live in suburbs rather than. But
that's what I'm saying. It's
the median
where the city is built. That's
the median transport, like the median commute time in the United States is 38 minutes. It's 20 miles. It's not 10 blocks. Now, there's definitely a market for 10 blocks. Absolutely. And I really think that if we want to live in a more carbon neutral society, we need to really, really think about working in proximity to our home. And I think one of the greatest things about the pandemic is that, yes, you can do your job remotely most of the time. And especially in corporate America, the suburbs.
If you can get an electric vehicle that could do 100 miles in a charge, that would be more than enough for any U.S. city. Now, a suburb, obviously, if you're talking a small enough city like our hometown Gunnison, I mean, that's 2 miles in any direction and you're at the edge of the town. Like, you don't need a lot. So and even a charging station doesn't make a whole lot of sense because you could charge it at home and it does the same thing. And if now granted, it's a bit of a pain in the butt, but if you go by the infrastructure problem of charging stations around the United States, that's just government subsidies at that point. Because even the oil and gas industry has huge subsidies still.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So it's all about where the priorities are. If we wanted to do it, we could do it.
I'm hopeful that the $2 trillion infrastructure bill is a lot of infrastructure for EV.
If you go off of what all these big manufacturers are doing, I mean, Ford came out with a fucking Mustang that's electric. It's not really a Mustang, but they call it the Mustang.
It's a Mach-E. It looks like a crossover SUV.
It looks fine.
It's a Model 3 competitor made by Ford with a freaking Mustang badge.
But the point is all of these big manufacturers. I mean, we've already said I don't know what secret data they have, or they're just going with what everyone else already knows. All of these, I mean, what was it? Is it GM that plans on stopping all gas-powered vehicles by 2030 or something?
All internal combustion engines by 2035, I think.
The industry sees something coming, and they're trying to get ahead of it at this point. And once you reach a certain market cap and the technology gets better, combine that with government subsidies and infrastructure, which is very important to a country, it can be done. It could all be done. And the argument that it costs too much money doesn't make sense either, because the money goes back into the economy anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't just disappear.
So my big 3 things that I would like to see that would just shift a ton of people over to electric immediately. You manufacture a less than $10,000 vehicle that has a range of 100 miles. You have it be able to charge, that time from a 110 plug that can be plugged into any household.
Length of charge, too.
A lot of...
It's got to be able to charge at a reasonable amount of time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Be able to, get home at night, call it 6 o'clock, charge until 6 o'clock in the morning. So 12-hour charge cycle to give you 100 miles. That would get you to work and back, plus errands in between for
no road
for
tripping,
95%. No. But you
they
make a
have technology
$10,000 car that is not... Well, and here's the thing. You make a $10,000 car, you don't market it as the replacement for your vehicle. You mark it as
It's the
the
commute
addition to another tool in your belt, so that when you are driving to work, you're not wasting gas. You're on electric, you're doing your part. But when you do want to go for a road trip, take your other car. That's fine. You make something less than $10,000, families will buy it.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good
Because
point.
that's also the perfect vehicle to send your kid to high school in, to college in. That's how you commute. You start making that change. You start subsidizing electric charge points. Hell, my work, like this is part of the reason that I bought the Volt. My work has, since I've started there, offered charging to employees for free. I do not pay for the electricity when I go to work. I charge up every day at work, and it is part of their mission to be green. It's part of their thing. I am
If there's a
the
will, it can be
second
done.
employee.
I agree with you absolutely. There is one component that I would addend on to your topic: safety, and that's where Tesla right now is just killing it. Is the 5 really should be 6-star rating on safety? If that car, unlike the smart car, is as safe as a Tesla, or at least in a reasonable ballpark, 4 or 5 stars, I'm not too picky. Then you've got me. But if it's a $10,000 death trap, no thanks.
Right. And that's why I'm saying 10,000, not 5,000.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying, $10,000 budget with a good safety rating, with that 100-mile range, with overnight charging at that range on 110. It's a knockout. You are going to have problems making enough of these cars to get into people's hands.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Yeah.
But
Get on it,
On
GM
to-
and all these other
yeah.
fuckers.
right? Come on, Chevy. Damn it. Give me something small and cute and safe. I would drive the shit out of it. But on to something slightly more funny. Spotify has released a new car thing. It is literally named Car Thing. And it is a Spotify controller for your car.
Yep.
It does not have built-in data. It does not, stream it or, download it or anything like that. It is purely a controller that you pair your phone with and then connect it into the aux of your car. Like, it is a middle point.
It's a Bluetooth connector.
Yes, with a screen and a dial. I will put up a picture.
And it just connects to aux.
I think it will also do like pass-through Bluetooth, aux,
USB.
and USB, I think. This was super, like, beyond lightly researched. It's
Didn't
Yeah, I
even read
saw
the
this
article.
thing.
way
It was-
less than lightly researched.
It was softly research.
You saw the title.
It was just like I poked it, just like boom.
And it was fluffy.
I signed up for one of these.
Oh, of course
How
you
much?
did. Of course
How
you
much?
did.
Currently free to.
Oh.
You pay shipping and handling on it if you're already a
The Spotify
premium.
member.
Oh,
Yep.
fuck yeah. That's actually not a bad
It
deal.
will,
Okay.
yeah, it will cost $80, $80 or
Too much.
$60. Now, okay, here's the thing. I have noticed, because I just to save money on my insurance, I agreed to put one of the stupid little beacons in my window and download the app on my phone so that they know how I drive.
Oh,
Because
God.
let's be honest, in the Volt, I'm not going.
You're not
after
setting
speed
land
records.
speed records.
No, I would never put one of these in the Nova. Not that I'm keeping the Nova for much longer, but there are certain vehicles that this goes into. There are other vehicles that it will not.
When I want to pretend to be a safe driver.
Yes. When it's in my Volt and I'm driving casually to work with the cruise control engaged and not really caring about the amount of time it takes me to get there, great. But any movement of the phone that is contrary to the positioning of the vehicle counts as an interaction.
So if it's not properly secured and it slides across your passenger seat, you're screwed.
It will ding you for that, yes. Or you have it in a cup holder and have something next to it, and it like jiggles, and that something turns on the screen and does a press.
Oh, that'd be annoying.
It also does that. So I have had to get a phone holder and all that good stuff. But
How much does this save you on your insurance?
it is going to end up saving. Right now, I'm at the average rate, which only saves me about $40 a month.
That's worth it.
Okay.
That's more than worth it.
It's yeah.
You guys are paying monthly.
Hmm?
You should pay every 6 months. Because there
No.
is a
Nice.
gigantic discount for paying
There
6 months
is.
in advance.
There is, and I need to. It will not happen this year.
Yeah.
It will happen next year.
I don't think I've
Set
ever
up.
But-
done
Responsible
that.
for me. Live dangerously, I say.
Insurance, what's that?
But yeah, so I wouldn't need this kind of car thing in my new car because my new car has Android Auto. And why the hell would I add an extra screen and knob and bullshit into my new car? But where I started thinking about this is I also put one of these beacons in my truck because my truck is hardly ever going to get used. It's going to get used when I go to the landfill, or it's like hey, I've got to run Sunday errands. I don't really use my truck unless I'm towing something, and then I'm really driving super safe anyway.
I thought
why
that's
not?
what your skateboard was for.
Well, no, my skateboard is for beer runs after I've already had beer.
Hey, BUI is
Only
a
good
serious
things can
thing.
happen. Yes, it is.
I love it.
But so where I got to thinking about it as I was looking at it is it's like I've gotten really used to just like reaching over and tapping the screen to be like, yeah, I'm not feeling this song, because that doesn't count as an interaction because it's built into the car. It's not an interaction. Or if I use voice commands with my phone, it doesn't count as an interaction. Well, I don't have any of that fancy stuff in my truck. It does have a like 5 to 10 year old CD player with like Bluetooth and a couple other things, but it's like, it would be kind of cool to stick that on the dash of the truck. Yeah, I know, but I drive like this, then I'd have to like,
I don't even have to look at it. I flick my watch and music's playing on my phone. I just have to hit the right side of the screen and it just goes to the next song. It's magic.
yeah, well, that's Apple.
Yep.
Mine
it
is not that tightly integrated.
Like,
Oh,
You
it's
have
not
to
that
admit.
good.
what I would want, like, I like the idea. I don't like that it's only Spotify used. If there was some sort of like third-party tablet system that would essentially,
this
it's
is
essentially a
kind
touch,
of what
got
I'm hoping
eyebrows.
for.
but it's just Spotify.
This is the same.
That's-
No. Hold on.
This is the entry
Because
model.
this is the exact same reason that I bought the HP Touchpad Pro when it went on fire sale. Because I knew at some point the mad lads out there would find a way to take the HP Touchpad, which was running that Palm WebOS stuff, and put Android on it. And that was like my go-to Android tablet for probably like 3 years. It was fantastic. I am betting that someone will be like, hey, I bet we could run a like super shortened version of Android Auto on it.
You're waiting for someone to jailbreak it.
Yes. Now, I will definitely use it as a Spotify thing in my truck, even if, nothing ever happens, just because I'll pay $8 for it.
yeah,
I wouldn't
that
pay
makes
60 or
sense.
80 for it. It's unnecessary at 60 or 80 because I could just go, hey, assistant.
Okay,
Next
does it
track.
attach to the skateboard, though?
I mean, I don't have a radio on the skateboard, so it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, he doesn't
I mean,
have
you could.
insurance off his
Yeah.
skateboard.
If it was a good
That's just-
skateboard, you'd have a radio on it. That's all I'm saying.
Bluetooth earbuds. Plus, then I have the ambient noise pass through.
God, he is just not accepting of the bullshittery tonight.
No, I'm not. I'm not taking your bullshit.
He's not.
I'm just
give
glad.
it back.
I'm glad you made it a week. I'm glad you're still alive, Brandon.
Yeah, well, I mean, I only got it last Friday, so I've only had it.
3 days.
All
One, two,
all of these
three,
little tech
4
toys
days?
from the guy who does not want a cybernetic implant.
Right?
Yeah.
Again,
He wants
this
external toys.
This, if it is just not working for me, I can take it and chuck it. It is
Fair
not
point.
integrated into the brain pan.
It's
But-
fine.
On the skateboard, I do have to say, fucking fantastic. It's so much fun.
All right.
Yep.
That's good. I'm
Highly
glad-
recommend it.
yeah. We'll go into it in the after.
Oh, the after. Okay.
yeah. But in order to get
So-
to the after, we have to do the end.
We have to do the outro. So, Colton, since I always put you in the corner, why don't you go first? Tell us where we can find you, aside
My
from
na-
the corner.
My name is Colton Roper. You can find me on most social media platforms, blah, 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 as Seeker4761.
That's how many incidents Brandon used to have on his phone from touching his phone.
How many dings he got?
Yeah.
All
how
them
many,
dings.
How many dings? But
All
once
them
he
good
gets
dings.
this, that's
Hell
a
yeah.
lot
No
less
more.
dings.
You can also find me on twitch.tv/Seeker4761, where I try to stream relatively consistently. I'm also on YouTube as well, Seeker4761, where I'm putting up lots of videos, so check that out. Cody, what about you?
I'm here. I am Cody Stratman, also known as Zito Valdez, Psychonitrous, Striving to Fail,
A man of many names.
Roaming Geek. You never know where I am. And I am still in the process of making lots of different videos and stuff. Had some issues, but we'll see. Things will be getting interesting after the next few weeks. Anyway, you with the lovely lake over there.
I am Charlie Stifler, also known as Milnor, spelled wrong, so I always get it right. You can find me on Twitch and YouTube. I've actually uploaded my first two gaming videos up to my YouTube channel. Third one will actually upload after I'm done uploading this. By the way, about this time tomorrow, I should have 1,000 up, 1,000 down symmetrical gigabit. So you're going to be seeing a lot of uploads from me.
Modernizing.
Oh, yeah. Yep. No data cap. Cheapest internet of the group. Sorry, flexing a little bit. Also, announcing to our loyal fan base, the starting of Dark Horizons Twitch. We've just got it all set up. You're going to be seeing us a lot, I hope. Really important is it is not spelled out. It is the shortened gamer tag version, which is DKHZN, because Dark Horizon was already taken. I don't know by who, but those sons of bitches beat us to it. So, you will be seeing us on Twitch, the four of us and the expanded group. At least two of us at a time, hopefully, but, you're going to be seeing us.
Oh, yeah.
Brandon, take us home.
I am
Oh, yeah.
Brandon Vader, also known as Dracanis. You can find me on YouTube as the Tech Pirate. You can find me on thetechpirate.net, where I'm hoping to start posting more regularly. Yeah, I need to get better about that, and I say that every week. But also, you can follow me on Instagram, bvader86. I've been taking pictures of electric skateboarding goodness.
We still don't usually see the
rides.
full board in a picture. It's usually like the middle
It's because
part
he's
cutting out
6'6". He cannot get the arm far enough away from his body to
Don't make a wide
to
enough
show his
angle.
whole body. And he doesn't have a camera guy.
It's true. You got to get your
Get
son
Luke.
doing it.
You can
Get
help
Luke to
me
do it.
fix that when you're up here, Cody.
Boom.
Also, Cody, when you're up there, please don't fucking die.
Yeah.
Because I know you're going to ride the damn thing.
Of course. Yeah.
I'm not
Duh.
saying you're the least coordinated of the group, but Brandon is a very close second. All I'm remembering is ladder incidents.
I was going to say, I think Cody is actually more coordinated than I am.
I've only had one ladder incident. One ladder incident.
Yeah. How many stitches?
It was a step ladder. 0. No stitches.
How many should you have had?
You should
How
have
big
had
is the scar?
Actually, I don't even have a scar from that. No, the only
Nice.
stitching incident that I have had in the last, in my adult life did not involve a ladder. I will say that. It involved a firehouse with an unfinished roof, and I still have that awesome scar on my leg.
All
And
right.
it
Sorry we
didn't hurt.
derailed.
Yeah. Anyway,
Very much so. That's all right.
let's
But yeah.
rail again.
You should follow me, or at least take a look at Instagram. Be very
Like me.
6. Like me, love me. No. Yeah. So thanks for joining us on this episode of This Week I'm Learning. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, as well as on YouTube at This Week I'm Learning. For you social media peeps out there, you can find us on Twitter at this TWIL. If you'd like to contact us, of course, you can send an email to twil@thetechpart.net. And we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You're like a creepy metronome.
Yep.
So yeah,
So, yeah.
You almost didn't have a camera or a drone, actually, after what happened
no.
yesterday. So I was flying it. I was out at the disc golf course, and right now Alaska is what we call breakup season, which
Yeah, it's
basically,
mud season.
Yeah, it's what Colorado calls mud season. We call breakup.
Yeah.
So right now there's dry ground and then ice and then 6 foot tall berms of snow everywhere. Anyway, at the disc golf course, it's pretty much just like ice and like a foot of snow everywhere and berms of snow. Well, one of my friends threw his disc. I followed it with the drone right into a tree, hit the tree, no big deal with the drone. And then it fell into a puddle. When I got to it, it was fully submerged in the puddle, and the little blades were like, mer, mer, mer.
Oh, no.
Completely submerged. And everybody was asking, is that waterproof? And like, nope, it is most certainly not waterproof. It has no IP. It has a negative IP rating.
You need to find a way to like waterproof those connections. There has to be a cheap way to do it.
Scotch
Some sort of
guard.
weird
You
spray.
can electric doping.
So, took it out, unplugged it, held it for a second, ready to throw it in case the battery decided to swell up. Yeah. Shook it out a bit because it was dripping water. The GoPro was still recording, so that footage is gonna look funny. The GoPro I wasn't worried about because that thing's waterproof. After a few minutes of getting all the water out of it, I'm like, I shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Replug it back in. It goes dee 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 dee, which are the good sound. And I'm like, really? Yeah. So turn it on. Blades spin. I'm like, okay, I'll just spin it to dry it out. And one thing that I did, so long story short, after a while and the motors being all weird for a little bit, everything was fine except for the VTX. I couldn't get a signal if I was more than 15 feet away from it, but I had a spare VTX, so I just installed that, and everything's all good to go now.
Oh, yeah.
Video transfer, I'm assuming?
Video transmitter. So, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so
So it is
You lucky
waterproof.
son of
All
a
right.
bitch.